Hello and welcome back to Advanced Hwoarang Lessons. It's time to raise the leg for today's lesson because the third stance we'll be looking into is a classic. It's basically what gives Hwoarang his identity. So if you have the left foot forward here again, just to recap the stances, right foot forward, right flamingo, and then left flamingo. Hwoarang shares this stance with his master Baek. And he does a pretty good job of mixing the opponents up, you know, with down 3-4, 3 forward, LFS 3-4, and even copies his master with LFS forward 3. Let's dive into left flamingo stance. So left flamingo stance, this stance right over here, is the blender. Why is it the blender for keeping pressure with Hwoarang? Because number one, you get access to a lot of moves that are advantageous on frames. Down 3-4 plus 15. Down back 4 plus 4 RFF. LFS 1 plus 7 plus 5. And then if LFS 2 hits, plus 9 RFF. And then, before I forget, LFS 3-4 plus 9. And then your fake plus frames plus 2. And then when it hits, plus 8. So there's multiple options here. And your opponent's forced to continue guessing the moment this leg is up. Because they're going to get hit by a lot of these pokes, these checks, and lows that hurt a lot. Like even this counter hits. And they're eating up that much damage. And if they guess wrong on those two things, Hwoarang has launchers, safe launchers, like LFS 3-4. LFS up forward 3-4, which is the LFF up forward 3-4, the Hunting Hawk equivalent. And then he has an unsafe launcher, which crushes lows pretty fast. LFS up forward 4. You can transition to right foot forward if you want by holding forward to get a different combo route. And then, if you press a high, the utility of the snake edge comes into play. So again, the simplest way to access this stance is by pressing forward 3 in LFF. Depending on the stance you're in, you have other ways to enter left flamingo. So if you're in LFF, aside from forward 3, you can do like 1-2-3, 2-3, etc, etc, etc. If you're in right foot forward, you can do something like RFF forward 3. If you're in right flamingo, RFS 3 is the way to go if you want to enter into left flamingo. And then you can always just retransition back to the flamingo by pressing 3 plus 4 and just swap in between either one. Again, you're gonna see a list on the screen of the full list of moves that transition to left flamingo, what moves remain in left flamingo, and what moves in left flamingo swap from either one stance. Now let's talk about forward 3 again, right? Because forward 3, or I mean for both, forward neutral 4 and forward 3, you can see there's like an inbuilt sidestep mechanic here, so you can avoid certain things in neutral or even on defense if you just press forward 3, or you help it, you SSR into forward 3, and then you really tried to become like Beck, because Beck was always getting the opponent's back. When he stepped here, gets the opponent's back, but Hwoarang's is not to that level yet. Maybe in Tekken 8, hey, they might buff it, you never know. And of course, the weakness of left flamingo is that, again, the meme, you just step towards the stomach, so if you're on player 2, you're stepping towards the left, so you have to really use moves that catch towards that side, like LFS back 4. Or step with them, right? So if they step towards the left, you join them, and then you continue pressuring them. The main thing is what you want to do with left flamingo is to always mix up your plus frame. As I mentioned earlier, like you get your down 3-4, right? It's always connected to threats, or like 50-50s. So if you go from left flamingo into down 3-4, or LFS 3-4, your opponent's now thinking, hey, he's gonna do the right flamingo mix-up. So you use that advantage the same way you use the threat of the hell sweep and stance switch back to down to left flamingo. But it's the same thing if you go into RFF. You do LFS down back 4. They're gonna think, alright, I'm plus 4, I'm negative 4, he's in RFF, he can check me easily. You can do like a DF1 plus 2. I'm gonna try to step, what do you call this? RFF DF4. Oh, if they try to step RFF DF4 in this situation, they're gonna win, right? So just to double check here to show you an example. Step. But, a big but, they're not stepping that. And then you can connect it back to left flamingo. If you want to do something else, if you want to remain in left flamingo, you can do something like the rocket. Next move, this is plus 4. and you still have all the options available to you, and you can like move back, hop back in left flamingo to remain safe. Because if you attempt to press a button here, your jab may or may not win, depending on like whether they stepped, whether they backdashed, and they could also avoid the jab by simply just stepping or backdashing. They have to be very, very careful with this +4 and this +4 as well, CD3. But this is way closer, so you're going to be losing a little bit less here. But again, your options exist. This is like, I can continue pressure back into this and then re-loop it. Stay in their face. You see, this is very common when Hwoarang wants to really, what do you call this, show off. Because there's also counter hit launchers here. So if they decide to press a button, let's say after RFF forward 3, which is like super, super plus, they're gonna pay the price. It's just that in left flamingo, you are not like right flamingo where you're hitting them with big 50-50s. Because all of these are hard hitters. Your main hard hitter here are counter hit stuff, like LFS down back 4, LFS forward 3, LFS back 4. So you're really just checking your opponent a lot and connecting the threats of other stances to re-loop back into left flamingo to continue the pressure. So that was like a brief overview on the left flamingo stance. And you're gonna see somewhere again on the other side of the screen for the next advanced Hwoarang lessons.